So this next story, I'll try to contain my rage because it just blasphemes the gods of Olympus, and I, for one, will not stand for it. So, new Louisiana law requires the Ten Commandments to be displayed in every public school classroom. There's a little video here. I'll play it for you, and then we can discuss.
Tonight is now the first state to require the Ten Commandments to be displayed in every public school classroom in the state after the governor signed this controversial bill into law. And it gets pretty specific, saying the commandments have to be on a poster-sized display with font that's easy to read. The governor seems to be spoiling for the legal fight here, and it looks like he will get it, with a bunch of civil liberties groups, including the ACLU, saying in just the last couple of hours, wait a second, this is not constitutional, and that they're planning to sue. Vaughn Hilliard is joining us now with more.
Right, Hallie. Look, we have seen some of these conservative states go and challenge what has previously been decided by the U.S. Supreme Court. In this situation, back in 1980, the U.S. Supreme Court, they ruled against a Kentucky measure that would have required public classrooms to have the Ten Commandments inside of the classrooms. And yet 45 years have passed. It is a different Supreme Court with a conservative lean to it. And the conservative legislature and Republican Governor Landry, who signed this measure into law, made the conscious decision that they're going to go and try to challenge that. Now, the ACLU, to note, and other organizations have already indicated that they intend to file a lawsuit in which they say, in part, quote, the law violates the separation of church and state and is blatantly unconstitutional. Politicians have no business imposing their preferred religious doctrine on students and families in public schools. So we've seen other Republican states consider this type of measure here, but they haven't gone forward with it, knowing that it would face a legal lawsuit. But for now, in the state of Louisiana, these public classrooms from kindergarten all the way through universities are going to be required to have a poster-sized version of the Ten Commandments posted inside of these classrooms. Hallie?
So, I mean, the ACLU is completely right. It is unconstitutional. It is a blatant violation of the separation between church and state. The whole point of that wall of separation is to allow people their own private worship, but to not impose a particular kind of worship through public institutions, public institutions paid for by taxpayers. Public schools are funded by taxpayers. Therefore, public schools are not supposed to impose a certain kind of belief system, religious belief system, on the students. They can teach the students about religion. That's fine. But they can't say this is the one true religion or this is what you should believe. And to force posters with the Ten Commandments in these classrooms is obviously sending a message that, oh, these are Christian schools. You're supposed to be Christian. To hell with the fact that there are Jewish Americans, Muslim Americans, Hindu Americans, Buddhist Americans, atheist, agnostic Americans, other Wiccans, various forms of neo-paganism, Satanists, the list goes on and on. But these religious, fanatics, and that's what they are, religious fanatics, they're always trying to get around that wall of separation. And we'll see what the Supreme Court says. I mean, I'm not going to hold my breath. I mean, sometimes broken clocks are right twice a day, so sometimes the Supreme Court does something legitimate. Other times it's just total sycophancy to right-wing ideology. So we'll see. But I'm glad for these lawsuits that are going on, because they should be going on, because our children shouldn't be indoctrinated with Christianity through public schools. I mean, there's plenty of indoctrination of Christianity in so many other places anyway. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with educating them about religion, including Christianity, but you should educate them about all the religions. And maybe one final point. The trouble with theocracy, and sort of why I was starting off with my little joke, right, about the Greek gods is, everyone likes everyone loves theocracy as long as it's their own specific theocracy, right? Super fundamentalist Christians would love the idea, that America was a theocracy, or super religious, like Orthodox Jews would love to turn Israel into even more of a theocracy than it already is. Like everyone loves their own special theocracy, which is why you can't have theocracy, because it just doesn't work, right? Because every group wants to impose its own beliefs on all the others. And so to get around that, then you have to say, okay, none of you are able to do it. None of you can establish your religion as law in this country. Too bad, so bad. Live with it. And that's like one of the real achievements in America, I would say, is our religious pluralism and our religious tolerance. But here, these people are trying to destroy all that, and it's sad.